I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Welcome to Let's Talk. My guest today has spent more than 4 decades fronting one of New Orleans' most enduring bands, the Radiators. Taking their cues from the likes of Creedence Clearwater Revival, the band, and Van Morrison, the Radiators forged their own unique sound via late nights and long improvisations. After logging more than 4,500 shows around the globe, they disbanded in 2011. But the Radiators reunite every January for 3 sold-out nights at Tipitina's and every spring at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. Here to radiate on all that and more is guitarist and singer Dave Malone. Dave! Is that radiating? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm radiating. Nice cups, by the way.
You like that, huh? It's a professional operation here.
I'm supposed to turn this towards the camera?
There you go. There you go. Let's talk. Right. Work the brand.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I can't believe it's taken, all this time to get you here. You've been in a band for 4+ decades, and now you're finally getting to do my show. So
47th anniversary coming up. It's
January
crazy.
2025 marks the 47th anniversary.
Same 5 knuckleheads.
Same 5 knuckleheads who started in keyboardist Ed Volker's garage, right, in '78.
On Waldo Drive, to be exact.
Waldo Drive. And the first song was a Van Morrison song?
He Ain't Give You None.
He Ain't Give You None. All right. But then the second song was an original, Red Dress, right?
Yeah, and I came up with that guitar lick, which is right then and there. And people talk about these moments when they get together and it's, oh, it was magical and all this, but we ended up jamming for hours and hours, and then we're looking at each other like, oh my God, is it supposed to be this easy? Really? I mean, we just clicked. That chemistry thing, whatever that is. We all know what chemistry is, but we won't go into that.
Right, well, it's a different time. Late 70s, a different time. Yes, a different
That's
time.
right. So, yeah, and the 5 of us are still basically alive and can still basically play.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible run, and I mean, you guys lived, I think, the experience of so many New Orleans bands in the sense that you had a sound that had elements of New Orleans, whatever that is. I mean, some of your guys play with Professor Longhair, right? Didn't Reggie Scanlon, the bass player, play with Professor Longhair, and you guys grew up here, but you were also tuned into some of the bands that mentioned in the intro. I mean, the very first song you guys played was Van Morrison. So you were of New Orleans, but you were also plugged into the larger world of music. And I think that probably worked both for and against you guys over the years, wouldn't you say?
I would say that. It worked for us because we never got bored. Because we had so many musical influences that meshed and clashed in a way that this new kind of thing came out, and we all like different stuff. Ed and I sing all the songs, so we kind of decided what songs would get vocals on them. But the downside to that is when we were signed to Epic Records, which became CBS and Sony, and even before that, journalists, as you well know, like to have a thing to write about, a concise thing, and people refer to it as putting you in a box or whatever. That's not exactly right, but we didn't know how to describe our own music because all of that, what you just said, filtered through. We were Earl King's band for a long time.
Earl King, the great rhythm and blues songwriter and from New Orleans, yeah.
And we're like rock, R&B, folk, a little bit of punk, tiny bits of jazz, all that, because we like all that stuff. And we never kind of put one thing before another. So journalists didn't have that thing to categorize us as, and we didn't even. That's how we started calling it fishhead music, combined with the fact that Ed wrote for, what was it, Wavelength, I guess?
Music magazine, Wavelength.
Yeah, and his nom de plume, or whatever you journalists call that, was Zeke Fishhead. So we still call him Zeke, but it was Fishhead, and he wrote most of the songs, so it was Fishhead music.
Fishhead music, right. I mean, people have tried to define that term, but it was really just based on Ed's fake name that he wrote in Wavelength.
Yeah. And our fans latch onto that kind of stuff, and we've got the best fans in the universe, no doubt.
You know, I heard a statistic that during the reunion weekends at Tipitina's, during the Radiators reunion weekends at Tipitina's, the bar rings up more than any other weekend of the year.
I don't know if I should be proud of this or embarrassed, but we had the largest bar rings in a lot of venues from the entire country back in our heyday. But this is the important part, our fans tipped the bar people well, too. So they didn't just get drunk and stupid, although they did. But they were still kind, you know?
Right. They were still kind.
We've been very fortunate.
Absolutely. Very. You guys are famous for playing long shows, late nights, lots of improvisations. At this point in time, you're, as we speak, 72.
Yep.
3 nights in a row at Tipitina's. You got to feel it at the end of that.
Well, 2 75-minute sets per night, and then I, like an idiot, added a 4th night with my auxiliary band, Raw Oyster Cult, which I regret naming it that because it's hard to pronounce, Raw Oyster Cult. Anyway. Yeah. By the end of the 4 nights, we're pretty beat up.
Is that, it was road fatigue partly that kind of led you guys to quote unquote disband in 2011, although the breakup obviously did not prove to be permanent. But I mean, you guys were just, like I said, you'd done 4,500 shows, you traveled all over the globe, you spent a lot of time in airports and airplanes, which has gotten more and more tedious. So, it was just, you guys were worn out, I think, huh?
Well, Ed was the one that said, I can't take it anymore. And I've never gotten a clear statement of whether he wanted to be out of the Radiators. He just didn't want to be in a band anymore. He didn't want to travel anymore. But he just wanted to play piano and write songs. He'd been writing songs since he was like 8 or something.
Hundreds and hundreds of songs he's written.
Thousands
of songs. Thousands of songs he's written, sure.
And he's the best unknown songwriter that I know of. And I'm not just saying that because he's my guy. But it's just true. But he had it with the touring, yes. Everything got more difficult. And even if it didn't get difficult, it seemed to get more difficult.
Sure.
Just from so many years of it. And he just wanted to play piano and do a trio or something like that. And then, Reggie got sick with...
Reggie Scanlon, your bass player.
Bass player, had cancer, which he ended up, it's been in remission. He's in the 3 percentile of people that have that happen. He's got a good team at Oxner or somewhere. I don't know if I'm supposed to drop names or not, but when I called Ed, so we took a couple of years where we did nothing. I don't even actually remember the time frame. But
you took some time off.
Took some time off, and I called Ed. I said, look, man, the 5 of us are still here. We can still play. I think you should need to consider, I know you don't want to travel, consider doing some gigs in New Orleans. And I think we only took 1 jazz fest off. But again, my memory doesn't have any memory to it.
Right, which is detrimental, yes.
So there was and then we did, I think Jazz Fest came first, because we all love Jazz Fest. And then the 3 nights at Tipitina's every year, the anniversary stuff. Because our fans, I really started Raw Oyster Cult because the fans were telling me, well, I know Ed doesn't want to play, but can you put together something where we can hear the music that we love? And how do you say no to that?
Yeah, and Raw Oyster Cult is most of the guys in the Radiators, except for Ed Volker.
Yeah.
Right. And you've carried on.
It's had a couple of different lineups, but mostly that, yeah.
Absolutely. Blue Oyster Cult, who's the big Blue Oyster Cult fan that inspired you?
I'm not a Blue Oyster Cult fan. I don't dislike them, but they were never in my wheelhouse. I think they're interesting. But I named it that, and then like a week later, God, this is hard to say. What a dumb move that was. Just try Raw Oyster Cult.
It does it gets lost in the tongue a little bit. Kind of like a giant oyster on a cracker. It's hard on the mouth sometimes.
That's it.
If you're just tuning in, my guest today is guitarist and singer Dave Malone from the Radiators. So you guys logged a lot of nights in New Orleans, but I mean, these days when you're not on stage here in town or on the road, you're a bit of a country squire, a bit of a country gentleman. You have a place out in Prairieville.
I do.
You and your wife.
Yeah.
Is that you going back to your roots? You grew up at Edgard, so is that...
It's my wife going back to her roots, because the land we live on, which incidentally you could throw a rock from my backyard and hit the site of the Prairieville, the New Orleans Pop Festival in 1969 or whatever.
Oh, right, yes, right.
That was at the Prairieville Speedway. It's behind Muddy Creek, behind my property. And I went to that as a senior in high school from Edgard. And so if that's a country squire, yeah, then I just, you know, being on the road, you like being on the road. And my wife, Beth, she was on the road a lot too, because she worked in menswear. And she was out in weird places in Sri Lanka and, you know, Asia and whatever for textiles. So we both traveled a whole lot, and just be able to park myself in Prairieville. We got a nice big house, and I kind of don't leave that much. I did leave recently for 5.5 weeks, but that was cool as hell.
Well, that was, you were on the road with the Last Waltz tribute tour, doing the music from the band's final concert, and it was kind of an all-star lineup with that.
Yeah.
And you guys were playing, what, theater-sized venues across the country?
Yeah.
5.5 weeks?
Well, and this time it was music from the Last Waltz, the real Last Waltz, whatever year that was. And it started off, flew out to LA, did 4 nights of rehearsals for a big show at the Kia, almost called it the LA Forum. Now you have to say the advertiser. The Kia Forum.
Right.
And people like Eric Clapton and Van Morrison, who were at the original Last Waltz, and Mavis Staples, who was at the original Last Waltz, and a bunch of other, 15 other music stars, and I got to play with most of them. And then went on road with a lineup for this Last Waltz. We've been doing this since 2016, me and a bunch of other people, celebrating the music of the band generally, but the music from Big Pink, from the Last Waltz specifically.
Right. So were you playing guitar on stage when Clapton was playing guitar?
No, none of us were. He's the only person that brought his own band. I don't know how much of this I'm supposed to say even.
Well, that's why it was public. It's cool. It's all good. It's all
well,
good.
I mean, because Scorsese's people filmed it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that'd be interesting.
So it might turn into a second Last Waltz movie. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that. So.
Well, you know, he probably isn't watching this show, so it's all good. So
I don't know. Marty is pretty hip.
He's everywhere. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is Dave Malone from the Radiators. In addition to Prairieville, you also spent some time in Mexico.
I do.
In a little bit of an artist community in Mexico?
It's a pretty big city. It's 6,000 feet in the mountains of central Mexico, San Miguel de Allende, A-L-L-E-N-D-E. And it's been voted by Condé Nast and all these traveler magazines as one of the top 5 places in the world to visit. And it's just great. It's a colonial city from the 1500s, and cobblestone everywhere, and the sidewalks are this wide, and if you get a little old lady walking, little old lady like, you just have to wait. So you're forced to slow down. But the food's great, the music's great, everything's great.
And again, your wife's family has a connection to that.
They've had a place there for a long time, and my wife and her sister and me have a place there now where I'm going next week. Beth's there now for...
just going hanging out. You're just going to be hanging out. You spend as much time as you can there.
Yeah, because it's great.
And walking up and down those cobblestone streets has been good for your exercise regimen.
That's right. That's right. It's 6,000 feet, so it's like, you know, being in the Rockies.
Well, for a New Orleanian, that's especially. I mean, that's crazy.
From below sea level to that is a big deal.
Were you ready to like scale Everest at this point, probably? Huh?
I'll wait for the movie.
Well, yeah, and like you said, you at this stage of life, you're living healthier these days. I mean,
Yeah.
you've you're not really drinking anymore?
Not much, no.
Wow.
Hardly at all.
You know, and musicians, I think, oftentimes think that that's requisite for the job, but you've discovered, I guess, that it is not.
Well, I think when we started out in the way New Orleans was, we lucked out because we made a connection to two, well, it wasn't luck, it was accidental brilliance.
The best kind.
The connection with not only our fan base in New Orleans, which was, you know, let's face it, late night stuff there was a lot of drinking involved. And it kind of loosened your inhibitions and maybe allowed you to play stuff that you wouldn't have let yourself play before or not thought of. And that was probably backfired a whole lot, but there are tapes that kind of show otherwise. But so we allowed people to tape our shows from very early on. So Tulane kids would have cassettes of the Radiators at the Dream Palace, or Jimmy's, or Jed's, or Tipitinas, and bring them back home to New York or Chicago or Minneapolis or San Francisco or Miami or wherever, and play them for their friends and their siblings would be coming to Tulane a year or two later. So they'd already know our songs. We're like, what's going on here? So that was the accidental brilliance that
was allowing people to tape the shows, and that was its own form of advertising for the band.
word of mouth aspect of it was a lot bigger than we even thought it was. We just said, yeah, of course you can tape it, not thinking any of this.
Right.
Well, I forget what the original question was. I've kind of morphed.
Well, it morphed in a good place because it brings me to the official bootleg that came out a couple of years ago. The Tipitinas Record Club put out a vinyl album called Kung Pao, The Radiators Live at Tipitinas, May 1st, 1977, as part of their subscription series. This particular
Wait, does that say 77?
No, 97.
97. Oh,
97.
oh, oh.
77 would have been predated the band.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, 97. Did you guys hear this? Were you familiar with this particular recording before they put it out, or were you
You know
pleasantly
what?
surprised to hear it?
When people have recorded every one of your shows and you excitedly listen to the first 1,000 of them, then after that you go, oh yeah, okay. And a lot of times you listen to this stuff and you only hear the stuff that you wish was different.
Yeah.
Mistakes that aren't really mistakes. You just wish you had played something else or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one was one that was pointed out as a particularly good night. And look, Tipitinas is a magical place. You know, thank God the Galactic guys have resurrected that or kept that place going. So when we did we visit it then? I'm sure we did, but we didn't. It was just one of 5,000 shows.
Right.
But when it was suggested to us, and I don't remember who suggested it to us.
Probably a couple of the Galactic guys.
But probably Robert. Then we listened to what we said, well, okay, do this, and this. And the Kung Pao, we had a very hardcore fan from South Florida named Joe Perez, and he would do these crazy intros
on stage.
On stage,
you would introduce the band.
Or Florida. He was a very colorful dude and very animated, and he'd get the people revved up with Kung Pao, Kung Pao, and I just thought it was funny as hell. So I suggested naming the album that, and it might even be on the intro. I don't know if the introduction's even on there, but it's such a great thing.
That's where it stems from. And the vinyl itself is a beautiful, like purple, kind of tie-dye looking purple and red vinyl. Which,
it really does look like that?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's not just your eyes, no.
No, it's beautiful. You know, they did a great job. That Tipitinas Record Club, they're very serious about it.
Absolutely. No, they've resurrected some lost New Orleans gems for sure.
Yep.
If you're just tuning in, my guest today is Dave Malone, the guitarist and vocalist from the Radiators. The Radiators put out a new record a few years back, Welcome to the Monkey House, which is your first one in a number of years. Are there more new records in the band's future, even though you're kind of a part-time, only occasionally sort of band now?
Well, Ed and I talk about that all the time. It's trying to figure out the time and us being able to get together, because I'm not in New Orleans anymore, and it's he and I who get together because we sing everything to decide what's what. I think there'll be another record, but we haven't planned one specifically, but
it may happen.
well, it's more than might happen. I think it will happen. We just haven't gotten around to it. But, you know, I'm 72 and I'm the baby of the band. Jeez. Kung Pao.
Yeah, Kung Pao indeed. You know, you said you don't live in New Orleans. You haven't lived here full time since Katrina. I guess was that the
That's
thing
right,
that chased
yeah.
you out?
Katrina ate my house on my birthday.
On your birthday.
August 29th, we fled to Opelousas, where my mother-in-law, she's passed now, but where back to the Prairieville. My wife's parents lived, and my wife, in Opelousas, Louisiana, but her dad's parents had land in Prairieville, which is where our house is now, which is right by where that pop festival was. Well, I never did answer that question before. So, what was I saying?
Well, there's a family history. There was a reason you went there. To
Yeah. So that year I ended up with a Piggly Wiggly T-shirt and a cake from Walmart.
For your birthday?
For my birthday.
Piggly Wiggly. Well, that's nice.
I still have it too.
Wow, that could be good stage attire. Right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, man.
You know, that's fun. Well, no, but like I said, it's nice to decompress out there. You have room for all your guitars. I mean, it's comfortable living. At this point in the game, I mean, is it harder for you to play? I mean, do you feel that your fingers still work as well as they used to, or?
Now that I know what I want to play, the fingers don't work exactly. I get by just fine. I just did that 5.5-week tour, and it was great. The music was killer. I got to play with Mike Campbell and Benmont Tench.
From Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers,
yep.
And Ryan Bingham, Jamie Johnson, Don Was on bass, Terrence Higgins on drums, who is like
one of New Orleans' great drummers, yes.
If
sure.
you can't play with him, you need to hang it up. And then the levy horns led by Mark Mullins.
Trombone player, yep, from Bogarama.
And then John Medeski on organ, who is just a wizard. Again, I segued. What were we talking about?
Well, we're talking about your fingers, how they work. Yes.
No, I can play just fine. You know, I have, from diabetes, you get tingling a bit, you know, but I don't get it that often. But it's like what getting old is all about. Now you know what you should be doing, often you can't do it anymore. I think that summed up old age. I remember the first time I realized that I shouldn't just pop up in a 10-foot step ladder and jump to the top, and I was like, whoa.
Wisdom comes with age.
That's what they say. The smart portion of Dave would agree with that.
Well, one of the things you learned recently, you said you don't drink, but your doctor told you that actually tequila is not bad for folks with diabetes.
He said that tequila, if you're going to drink, is the best drink for a diabetic. So we go to Mexico a lot anyway. My friends, one of my good friends, Gil Gutierrez, has a music place right outside of town. And he's from, where's he from? I can't think of it. But he makes his own tequila, and there's really great tequila. I didn't even know that. I mean, I wasn't a tequila guy. Well, that's not true. When the Radiators were on the tour bus, we used to drink this, what was it called?
Tequila, probably.
Tequila, yeah. I can't remember the name of it. A dark brown bottle. This tour bus had wood parquet floors. We left the tequila bottle on the little table in the lounge area, and all stumbled to our bunks and passed out. The tequila bottle had fallen over and cracked wide open, and the parquet wood floor was all peeled up like this. And that's what we're drinking? Salsa Commemorativo, that's what it was called. Yeah, so at that point, and because of our relentless investigative tequila work, Notice what I did there?
Yes, that was good.
I couldn't even smell that stuff. I would gag for many, many years. But now I'm a diabetic and I drink, but I don't hardly drink at all, Keith.
Yeah.
It's very seldom, but when I do, it's a little sip of tequila.
For your health, yeah.
Or a Bloody Maria.
A Bloody Maria, a Bloody Mary made with tequila.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but I found out.
Again,
Anyway.
with old age comes wisdom.
That's right.
Yeah.
And accidental wisdom, too.
Accidental wisdom. We've only got 90 seconds left here. The plan is, I mean, you're going to keep playing music as long as you can. I mean, there's no other.
Our fans deserve it. I can't not do it. I do it at home anyway. Whether I have a gig or not, I'm playing every day. That's what I love. I mean, the guitar, aside from Humanoids, is my best friend and has been since I was 16, you know, and a guitar never lets you down. You can let it down, but anyway, I'll keep playing till I can't.
Guitar, yeah, if you take good care of it, it'll take good care of you.
That's my stance.
Well, you know, you guys, your legacy in New Orleans music is secure. I mean, as I said in the intro, you are one of the great bands in the history of New Orleans music. So I'm glad to see that you guys are able to still get together and do it every January and every Jazz Fest.
Thank you.
Hope, you know, you guys keep doing it into your 80s and beyond.
That's the plan, you know. None of us know that, but we will keep doing it till we can't.
Amen. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Okay,
thank you.
for next week we'll have...
Wait, I'm the host. Hold on.
That's right.
I am Keith Spera. This has been Let's Talk. I'll see you guys again next week.
Ciao.